Hey guys, I'm here to review episode 9 of Push Girls. Yes, this review is a little late due to weather and lighting problems, but here it is. The show started out with Tiffany checking out online dating sites. She says how people assume that people in chairs have no dating life. But while it presents challenges, because you don't know how the person's going to react at first, their dating life is pretty much the same as everybody else. Angela asks her if she's going to be forthcoming about the fact that she's in a chair, because there are some freaks out there who, I guess, get off on going after chicks in chairs. While Tiffany doesn't want them to be surprised, she doesn't think that you should, put it out there. So she says, after a few emails, then if you trust the person, tell them. She goes into her dating past, and she says how she's made a few mistakes, and one person that she was with actually threw her out of a chair and gave her a concussion because her head was caught between the door. She wonders if she's ever going to meet the right person, and Angela says that Tiffany just wants what everybody wants, which is to be loved. Then we go to Auntie and Eric's house, where Auntie is making Eric dinner because she's going out with the girls to an art gallery. Eric is adorable, and he says that he panics when Auntie goes out without him, but she's fiercely independent and sometimes too much. And it's so cute when she's leaving, like it always is with them. Then the girls go to the gallery show. Mia says she loves her life, and although there are limitations to being in a chair, she doesn't let it get in her way. Then as the girls are trying to get into the gallery, Tiffany has a little trouble getting up the curb because she has a 20-pound purse on the back of her chair. And then they have trouble again because there's a huge step to get into the gallery. And of course, the guy who helps them, Tiffany flirts with. Angela says how people are kind of blatant with their staring when all four of them are together, but she can't really blame them because seeing four girls together in chairs is kind of unusual, which I don't think anything should really be unusual in LA. But I guess so. Tiffany says that when she rolls into a room and there's guys there, she thinks they're wondering what it's like to date somebody in a wheelchair. Which could be the case because she's pretty. Mia says that the best way to put guys at ease is to show them that the chair means nothing, which I think is the case for everybody, not just guys. They won't care, or it won't matter to them if you show that it doesn't faze you. Tiffany says how she feels like sometimes guys compliment her because they feel like girls in chairs just don't get complimented, which is ridiculous. And Auntie tells a story that I was dying. She was on the beach, obviously in her bathing suit, and a guy comes up to her and goes, "You're so beautiful." And he's like, "It's too bad that she couldn't have sex, but she must give great head." Excuse me? Mia says that she thinks that people think the chair is a deterrent for marriage. They think that you shouldn't be picky, and if a guy comes up to you, then you should just be happy and not care what your type is, which is ridiculous because I'm picky. So while they're outside, some guy walks by and he's like, "Clearly you're disabled." And Mia goes, "We are." That'd probably be something that I say, including a couple of explicits. Mia says how a lot of the time people don't even believe that they're in chairs because it's so unusual to see four girls in chairs together. They feel like they're faking, I guess. I don't know why, but whatever. It's ignorance. And Tiffany's a lot like me because when people say stupid things, she's like, oh my god, are you that stupid? Like, in her head, obviously. And I think the exact same thing. And Mia says how it's funny that the people in the gallery were spending so much time looking at each other when it should have been about the art. And then when they're outside, somebody walks past them and takes a picture, and I really hope it's because they're like four new superstars and not because it's so unusual to see four chicks in chairs. So I'm choosing to go with the fact that they were fans of the show. Auntie says she's glad she's not single because she couldn't imagine dating all over again. Because it's hard to meet people and connect. Chelsea was in town for a day and Tiffany took her out for manicures and pedicures. And she tells her that her ex-boyfriend Matt texted her. Trouble! And he told her that he was going to be coming to LA. Now, he was one of the people that she never feared being with because he understood her. He was paralyzed for a short time, and the chair was never an issue to him. Now, their issue, if you remember, was that they had sex and she, like all girls should be, looked at that as like a commitment, sort of, like, you're not going to just do that with anybody. And, he reassured her he wanted to be with her, blah, blah, blah. And then she gets a call from a friend that he was trying to hook up with girls at a bar. Dick. Mia says that it's hard to be single, but fun to be dating again after her breakup. And she says being in her 30s, it's hard because you don't have much time, but you don't want to pick the wrong person either. She met this guy, Don, at a Jewish singles event. He asks her if she wants to go kayaking over the weekend. She said how she doesn't get to wear a cute outfit, and it's a little nerve-wracking, but she thought it was sweet that he listened to her when she said that she liked to be active and do sports, and that he picked kayaking for their first date. So the girls are out, and Mia tells them about her upcoming date. And she says how people who don't know her think she should just settle, but the girls know that she's picky. And I am too. I think everybody should be picky to a certain extent. Auntie says that it's hard enough to balance in the chair. How are you going to balance in a kayak? Tiffany says that it's easy, they have something in the back to support you, which you later see in the episode with Mia. And because she can't wear something cute, Mia says she has to up her vanity. Angela tells her that if a guy likes you wet and without makeup, he's the one. Which is funny because my dad always used to say that about my mom. Auntie goes through the whole mom lecture of, don't let him pick you up, meet him there. And she says you don't know if he's going to be a devotee, which is guys who get off on picking up girls in chairs, I guess. And Tiffany mentions how they could be like in every aisle in the grocery store and like, oh, I'm going to make that girl walk again, or whatever. Then we go to Angela out on a date with this guy, Cody, who is 1 year younger than I am. So he's 12 years younger than Angela. Hey, you're newly separated. Might as well have a little fun. He says that before he met her, it never crossed his mind that he would date somebody in a chair, and when he first met her, he didn't even see the chair. And he doesn't know if it's because of how she was angled or what, but when he looks at her, he still doesn't see the chair. Which is good. That's what you want. And he says he's always been open to anything and doesn't discriminate against anything, which is also good. Angela doesn't seem to understand how he didn't see the chair. Now, I kind of didn't like this because it seems like she wanted him to see past the chair, but yet doesn't understand how he did. You should just not want somebody to see the chair. Period. Then she asked him if her age bothered him, and he said no, and she wanted to know why. And she wanted to know if he was some guy who fantasized about being with a woman in a chair, and calls him a freak, teasing him. And it was just cute banter. Even though I still want her with Dustin. But she did say that she doesn't want to settle down right now. She just wants to date. And Cody says how it's not much different with her. He has to help a little more, but it's only as difficult as you make it. Which is a really good way of looking at it. And he feels like people his age would write it off. But if you just took the time to get to know the real lives of paralyzed people, you'd realize that it's not much different. And that the chair is not in the way. Then we go to Mia's kayaking date, and she says she's not sure if it's going to work out, and the chair plays in people's minds, but you have to show them that it's not a big deal. She realized pretty quick that the date was going to be a little difficult because just changing into the outfit was kind of hard, and Adon says, to the camera at least, that he's not a very supportive person, which right away I was like, eek. The instructor encourages them by saying that, it shouldn't be a big deal because kayaking is about your core and your upper body. And Adon says that if it flips over, he'll panic more than she will. Then we go to Angela and Tiffany's house, and Tiffany is waiting for Matt to come over. She's getting ready. And she's wondering if he's changed at all since the last time she saw him. Angela asks her, what her goal is and all of this, if it's, to make amends, get closure, or whatever. And she tells her that for somebody who's not trying to get somebody back, she looks pretty good. Then we go back to Mia's date. They start talking, and they actually adapted the kayak for her. And the back has like a supportive thing to keep her up. And she says being out of the chair, it was nice to be anonymous and not categorized by the chair. Then he had a picnic for her after, and he actually picked her up out of the chair and put her on the sand, which was cute. And then they start talking about each other's bucket lists and, things like that. And one of the things was ziplining, which my best friend just did. Mia says how some people in chairs are just flattered by anybody's attention, but again, she's picky. And there's no spark between her and Adon, and you can kind of tell. Then we go back to Tiffany and Angela. Matt shows up with his son. Tiffany says that although he's a guy who seemed to really understand her, she had some things she had to say to him before she even thought about letting him back into her life. She tells him how she just chose not to be with anybody for 3 years. And then she goes right into how he told her he wanted to have a real connection with her. He tells her that although it meant a lot to have her, at that point in his life he just wasn't ready for the same things that she was. So then she asks him why he slept with her, and he kept claiming that he told her where he stood, but she's like, no, you didn't, not until after. Which is a typical guy. And she got the feeling that he was just trying to make it out like all they had was a fling, which wasn't true at all. And when she tells him that she was hurt by how he treated her after they slept together, he said that, he never meant to hurt her, but he just wanted to be close to her. Tiffany says how this conversation made her really realize that she was over him. And how she was holding on to him because he looked beyond the chair, but that's not enough to be with somebody. And it's really not. she says how she needs somebody who's ready for the same type of relationship she wants, and Matt has a lot of growing up to do. I'd love to know how old he is, because generally, I feel like guys are a few years mentally younger than their numerical age, and she says she's ready to move on to the next chapter of her life, which is good, because I wouldn't want him either. That's it for this review. I do have another episode to review before Monday, and I promise I will try to do that as long as the weather holds up like it did today. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.